talk about super woke Mayor Brandon Johnson, I want you to know something right now. This video here is going to be in the description box. It's about the trucker boycott and the politics behind it. There's going to be a follow-up to that one, also going to be coming out either tomorrow night or it's going to be coming out on Thursday. I haven't exactly decided which one. I've kind of got a little extra time to record this video for Wednesday. And of course, there's also going to be this video that's going to be getting released early on Wednesday in the description box. The reason why I'm doing this is because all three of these videos kind of link. And given the situation that you have with this particular situation here involving woke Mayor Brandon Johnson and his refusal to suddenly pay $250 million to the migrants that the city of Chicago so desperately asked for because they want to be virtuous and above the rest of the world and take the moral high ground on the topic of immigration. Don't worry, all of these videos that I'm doing this week are kind of interconnected in a certain type of way, which I'll explain a little bit more towards the end of the video. But also something else too, there's also going to be a bit of an update towards the end, something that I just kind of came up with, let's just say a decision that I made here recently during my stint at the VA this past week. Now, with that right there being said, let's go ahead and get to this topic. So as many of you may know, the city of Chicago, like the city of New York, they are two of the largest cities in the country. New York, of course, being the largest, Chicago being the third largest, and of course, these are also sanctuary cities. New York has fought back in the courts, especially when it comes to Staten Island, when it came to the immigration issue. And of course, the immigrants right now are getting into fistfights with cops. We've covered this story, of course, the story involving Alvin Bragg letting the 5 migrants who jumped to NYPD officers, letting them go. And then magically they appeared in Arizona days later. I apologize for that. But then you get the case of Chicago, and you get the fact that the ultra-woke Mayor Brandon Johnson, he's been, how do I say this, he's been having panic attacks, he's been a little upset, he's been a little bit under the weather, he's been losing his temper recently, he's gotten testy. I'll probably put those videos in the description box for you guys too. It's probably going to be a pretty full description box with a lot of previous videos, just giving you guys a bit of a heads up. And now, for whatever reason, he has decided not to pay the $250 million. There's a reason for this. Well, actually, there's multiple reasons for this, but let's go ahead and dive into it.
Sake for the migrants, with Chicago bearing the responsibility for providing shelter. The county covers health care, and the state provides the wraparound services and relocation. But there's much more at stake for the mayor, with the question about, will the city commit to paying for care? The warmer temperatures and sunny skies providing a welcome respite for migrants hanging out outside this shelter in Pilsen. But the future may not look so sunny after Mayor Brandon Johnson backed out of a commitment with the county and state for the city to contribute $71 million to care for migrants through the end of this year.
I think that Mayor Brandon Johnson seems to want to hold a moral high ground that he is absolutely entitled to, given all that Chicago has done for this population. But we need to continue to see his actions and money match that sentiment.
Last week, Mayor Johnson refused to commit to new funding for migrants, despite the state and county pledging a combined $250 million. Today, after an unrelated news conference, Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle careful not to criticize her protege. Are you disappointed that the mayor agreed?
As I said, I've worked with the governor and the mayor to try to meet the challenges of the new arrivals since August of 2022, and I'll continue to do that.
Political observers call Johnson's decision a strange move, given that he calls himself a collaborator.
Clearly, he's been under a lot of pressure from the Black community, particularly from the Black members of the city council, for months about the distribution of resources to Black communities. And perhaps he felt as though if he made this kind of a commitment to migrants, that there'd be a lot of backlash.
No one in the state of Illinois, in this country, is questioning Mayor Brandon Johnson's commitment to this mission.
But now, some are.
I really want to believe that there is nobody more committed to this mission than Mayor Brandon Johnson, but of course, the money is really where that rubber hits the road.
Oh, let me say this really quick. On this channel, we've covered this issue involving the migrants. And one of the things that we've noticed when it comes to the migrant situation is that there's always somebody out there who's a little bit more virtuous and a little bit more woke than others. Now, we'll cover that more towards the end, but I got to kind of set this up the right way before we get to it. The thing that I want to say is this right here. Don't you think that maybe it's possible that Mayor Brandon Johnson is looking at this situation, he's saying, boy, I wish I I had these voters, I had these voters who voted for me. I had these voters who voted for me last election cycle, the much more liberal type who, oh, I know what to do. Maybe I can send these migrants to suburbs. Yes, that's actually a real thing. Sean Fitzgerald actually had a video out on this earlier this week. Actually, it was last week, where a family in Massachusetts, don't worry, I'm covering part of that towards the end, decided to take in some Haitian migrants. Now, in their case, they're saying, well, we're taking these people in because they plan on having a restaurant someday and achieving the American dream. And that's all well and good if you want to do that, but of course, it obviously comes with some serious risk. The situation to me, I think, is a little bit different, especially given the fact that the previous video I did on the city of Chicago involved cars getting jacked, of course, cars getting broken into, and people saying, well, it's kind of commonplace. And also, to go on top of this, it was also the shop, the shot technology, the gunshot technology, where, you could, oh, screw it, I can't even get the damn words right. I'll leave the video in the description box. But still, at the same time, though, there is this type of thing that they have in Chicago that detects gunshots. Of course, a lot of times people don't report gunshots detected in their neighborhoods. The reason why they don't do this is because they're getting a little bit apathetic. I'm using apathy because a subscriber of mine left a comment in the comment section. It was a very good quote, and of course, he just took the words right out of my mouth. I'm not going to lie to you. Here's the quote right here. Obviously, I don't tell people, I don't show people's accounts. I don't show people's actual comments as far as like with their name and whatnot to kind of protect them. But of course, I planned on doing a video on this at a later date explaining why it is that they're creating a situation that, quite frankly, is in fact becoming, how do I say this? It's becoming untenable in a lot of areas. And one of the ways it's becoming untenable is because people are getting to the point to where they're just becoming numb to the crime. Of course, people are becoming numb to gunshots and gunshots being fired off in their neighborhood. And they're not exactly reporting them. And Mayor Brandon Johnson figured, okay, well, screw it. I guess I'm just going to cut the funding or cut the contract that says that we need to have this technology available so that way we can know where gunshots are coming from. Don't worry, this is going to create a lot of apathy. It's going to create a lot of numbness to the situation. But back on topic. The fact of the matter is this right here. The mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, the woke mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, he believes in the sanctuary city process. So why in the world would you not want to pony up $250 million to pay for this? Well, the city of Chicago is probably going broke. That right there is probably one thing. But of course, he's probably going to want to lean in on a very, very woke suburban voter base, which in the area near Chicago, especially in the Des Plaines area and even Naperville, have already rejected taking the migrants in. But of course, this right here is the ultimate play. Push the migrants in there. That right there is the reason why it is. So don't be fooled when people come out here and say, I'm a little bit upset with the mayor that he won't pony up the dough. In reality, there's definitely a method to this madness.
Cases, police say the victims were hit with some type of object before the group of suspects got away. In this recent new video, it shows just how one of those attacks unfolded. This dark-colored car is captured by security cameras pulling into an alley where two men stand. Seconds later, those two men are seen chased down by at least three suspects who jumped out of the car. The victim's screams not deterring the apparent criminals from striking both of them with an object, police say, before getting back in the car and driving off.
It's terrifying.
Claire S., who was a beat meeting facilitator with the 19th Police District, says she was planning a safety meeting Sunday night when the attack took place down the street from her home on Levitt near Berthoud Avenue in North Center.
Neighbors are being terrorized by carjackers and armed robbers from one end of the city to the other. It has to stop.
This comes as police are investigating multiple robberies and attacks using a club-like object that happened across the city's north and northwest sides last night within a span of 6 hours, including the beating.
And by method to the madness, I don't mean that in a good way. Just want to go ahead and get that out there. But then you get this situation where you get just random crimes, people just, stealing crap, people breaking into homes, people breaking into cars. And of course, I covered the New York situation and showed you guys in the previous video that subway crime is about to get a lot worse. By the way, subways are kind of the main way of travel for New Yorkers in that city, especially if they've got to go more than 2 to 3 blocks at a time. You got to get into a subway. And of course, these subways are about to become extremely dangerous. they're going to become dangerous because of migrant gangs. Of course, you've already got gangs that are already in the city of New York. Gangs, by the way, come in all colors, shapes, and sizes. There's white gangs, there's black gangs, there's Puerto Rican gangs, there's Venezuelan gangs, there's Korean gangs. I mean, just gangs galore in that city, a lot like the city of Chicago. But let's be realistic. We all know what the hell is really and truly going on here. But this right here is just a taste for people who plan on bringing the migrants into their homes.
66-year-old woman who police say was trying to get money from this Chase ATM near Addison and Elston. She was on the phone with her daughter at the time of the assault.
It sounded like she was getting dragged out of the car because I could just hear her scream.
They tell you to be aware of your surroundings, but when 3 people jump out of a car, there's nothing you can do.
That concern for safety is why Ron Meadows put up security cameras on his home, which back in October captured this armed robbery in an alley near Levitt and Sunnyside Avenue when a man's phone and car were stolen from him at gunpoint.
There was literally no time to react.
Ryan Liebman is that man in the video who was attacked months ago. As the assaults seem to have continued in his neighborhood, he is now pleading to feel safe in the area he calls home.
We need to increase the police force as one, and we need to actually enforce and detain criminal suspects accused of terrible things.
Now, police would not say if these attacks are connected. So far, in all of the cases, no one is in custody.
You caught that, okay? You caught all that. Now, somebody may say, well, this isn't as bad as what normally goes on in Chicago, but that's the thing. You see, we've gotten to this point to where standards aren't high anymore. Yeah, it's the bleeding heart liberal effect. You know, we bring people in. We need to care for them. We need to nurture them. Orange man, bad. You're racist for not liking these people. You're racist for keeping these people out of your homes. Of course, we oftentimes love to call it the suburbanites because the suburbanites are the ones who vote for this type of stuff and then they don't want to, step up. But of course, they've already put this to a vote in the city of Chicago. I've done a couple of videos on this, and of course, suburban areas say, no. We work too hard for our houses. We work too hard for our homes. We achieved the American dream. In some cases, it was handed down, but people were maintaining it, making a lot of money. We don't need to bring anybody else in there. We need to take care of our children. We need to take care of our situation first before we take anybody else in. Then you get narratives like what I'm about to show you. Now, guys, this right here came from NBC News, so obviously I'm expecting some form of narrative to be pitched. This is only about maybe a minute and 45 seconds, but of course the full clip will be in the description box because, as you guys know, I like to put everything in the description box. That way you guys can kind of go back and double check. Even, it's mostly for those who disagree with me already, so that way these people can kind of know, hey, look, and also to go on top of this, because I'd like you to join my channel, join my network. I want you guys to kind of know that this right is what's really and truly going on in the world, especially in these cities. And of course, if you're a Chicagoite, then you may want to come across this, so that way you can see exactly what it is that woke Mayor Brandon Johnson is really and truly trying to do to your life.
Thousands of migrants spending what could be their final weeks in shelters across Chicago as the city's eviction deadline looms. Like Lisbeth Velasquez, a Venezuelan migrant who says she fled due to political persecution 6 months ago and is now nearing the end of her 60-day limit in the city's shelters.
Dice que tengo fecha de salida para el 1 de abril. ¿Qué va a pasar si yo de aquí al 1 de abril yo no consigo una vivienda? Estoy trabajando, no tengo recursos económicos para pagar una vivienda.
Velasquez says she's navigating the asylum process, but that she won't be able to obtain a work permit until well after her eviction date, a crucial step in finding a place to live.
Te piden el contrato de trabajo, te piden el estado de cuenta, te piden unos requisitos que, actualmente yo no cuento con ninguno.
The limit put in place to provide temporary housing while migrants find work in homes before making room for newcomers.
Only one property manager that has maybe 1 or 2 landlords that wants to deal with this. They want them to have work permits, a job, and proof of income.
Would you say the trouble getting work permits has been the largest hurdle for people looking for more permanent housing?
Without work permits and jobs, it's really impossible for people to find places to stay. In our group, we have like doctors, lawyers, teachers. They are really talented people, but they have no way to be certified here.
Advocates like Pastor Phelps are helping where they can, organizing English classes and clothing drives.
Guys, here's the thing about me, all right? And you obviously saw that, okay? Here's the thing. there is what's happening, and of course, there's the politicians and what they say. And then you look at what they do. The idea is to pay attention to what they do, not so much what they say. Politics, for the most part, is performative. Leadership, for the most part, is performative. Of course, unless you're maybe in a place where leadership is really truly required, like, say, the military. You know, former prior service Marine, so obviously I know about leadership. If you work a job, if you work at a place, even if it's somewhere, say, like a retail store, even like Walmart or whatnot, leadership is obviously important. Politics, however, for the most part, is actually performative because these people really and truly don't plan on doing anything they claim that they're doing. And then you get someone who's a true believer, like, say, woke Mayor Brandon Johnson, who, quite frankly, does plan on ruining everybody's life. He believes he's doing it for the greater good, but obviously he's not. The previous mayor, Lori Lightfoot, she ran on wokeness. She claimed to be woke, but of course she really, in reality, wasn't really that woke. All you gotta do is go back and look at this video here, which talks about Pookie and Ray Ray creating all kinds of problems. She waited till she left the mayor's office to start bashing people of color. Of course, the previous mayor, Rahm Emanuel, he wasn't any better. I mean, it kind of, I don't know who it really started with in the city of Chicago, but they've had a Democrat mayor every cycle since 1936. So, yeah, it's been going on for a long time. I guess it's just gotten progressively worse. But then you get these situations where people look at a video like what I just showed you, and then all of a sudden in the middle of nowhere, they think it's their responsibility to take these people in.
Their doors to a migrant family that once slept on the floor at Logan Airport. And they're encouraging other people to help out in the same way during this housing crisis. It all comes as Boston leaders worry about opening up more shelter space in the city and where that space will be. WBZ's Brandon Truitt is live in Brookline with the growing divide in this migrant debate. His story all new at 8. Brandon?
Well, Lisa, with the state shelters at capacity and, of course, those images of those families sleeping at Logan Airport, the Stokes family said they knew it was time for them to step up and help.
The family is lovely. They're so appreciative. It's been wonderful.
When Colin and Jessica Stokes called the state to sign up to be a host family, it took less than an hour for the displaced migrants to be dropped off at their door.
I gotta get sheets on the bed. How many people are coming?
Now, really quick, just before you guys get confused, this right here occurred in Boston, not Chicago. In Chicago, they are trying to avoid this, but let's watch anyways. The facial expressions of these people will tell you everything you need to know. Don't worry, we'll look at it a little bit more. We got to help these people. We've got to step in. We've got to pull them out of this. Oh my God, they're at the airport. They're suffering. After 6/1, I have to say it that way because of the algorithm, the Biden administration, excuse me, not the Biden administration, but well, actually, it was the Biden administration. They brought the National Guard in after they did the transition to power. And they put National Guard soldiers in parking garages. Now, I'm a prior service Marine. And to make a political point on Facebook, and I regretted doing this because the truth be told is I've been in much, much worse areas. I was posting to Facebook how effed up this was, how screwed up it was. But then the story came out that the men were getting raw chicken. And then the story came out that Jill Biden walked down to a group of soldiers with like a basket full of cookies, even though there's like 200 people there, like in formation. You can't feed them all. It's kind of like a half-empty gesture. It was almost like somebody was going out there to say, look, I did this good thing for you, but of course, you know, it's not good enough because there's not enough cookies to go around. And then, of course, I kind of caught myself, and a couple of the guys I served with said, dude, you've been in a lot worse places than this, where dude, please do us a favor and shut the F up. It was a lesson learned, okay? I obviously learned from the lesson. But these people staying in these airports like Logan International Airport in Boston or staying at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, you got a lot better than a lot of people out there in the world already do. You got villages in Africa, favelas in Brazil, where these people were actually living in much, much worse conditions than you. And I understand that you made the very, very long trek across the country, but the thing is this right here. You're at this point in time with work visas and stuff, nobody can actually take care of you, and it's costing the American taxpayer a lot of money. Not to mention the fact, the real reason why you're being brought over here is to replace an entire race. By the way, to go on top of that right there, that right should go ahead and tell you that these people who I'm about to show you the rest of this clip with, it's pretty obvious that they don't really care about this, and they're not definitely thinking about the other people that they claim that they care about.
From what ages we really knew nothing.
The need is so clearly overwhelming.
The family of 4 who didn't want to go on camera had been sleeping at Logan Airport. The parents and 2 kids journeyed from Chile to Texas, then Massachusetts, and there are so many stories like it.
It boggles the mind that there are so many hundreds of those stories and those people who are in such a stressful, traumatic transition.
It comes as the state's newest emergency shelter in Roxbury reached its capacity of 400 people in a week. An office building in Boston Seaport could be the next site, but there are concerns.
Having a site with no running water, no showers, to me, would be a non-starter.
It is incredible to observe on the front lines how challenging it is.
The Stokes are getting a closer look at the state's migrant crisis than they ever imagined and stress the need to fix it is greater than many of us know.
Just the dysfunction is really disheartening, and I know that really well-intentioned people are working as hard as they can.
What I said before the clip played was kind of confusing, but what I'm saying is this right here. This right here goes to the whole white savior complex, which at the end of the day is still just very, very racist in a lot of ways, especially on the left. Let me explain what I mean. The vast majority of liberal cityites, or people who live in cities that are liberal, they want certain populations kept out of the area. They want certain populations kept somewhere else. They want these people put somewhere else, and they obviously want these people, put them behind a fence somewhere else. Just keep them the hell away from me. That right there is the real truth about the left, especially in the cities. Classical liberals, of course, they claim that they, for the most part, want to be left alone. Just give these people whatever they want. Don't kill it. Don't kill it. Just put them over there. Just keep it out of sight and out of mind. Then you get people like this right here who are actual bleeding heart libs who take these people in. And what do you think happens as a result of taking these people in? What you saw earlier with the Chicago clip, what you saw earlier is exactly what the hell ends up happening. Next thing you know, your neighborhoods are destroyed. That right there is the truth about this situation. Now, guys, I did a video about this a while back, which I'll also link in the description box. It's like 7 videos now. Bear with me. Do you guys remember the situation in Brooklyn, New York, where you had the very, very liberal journalist, the liberal activist, who for whatever reason thought it was a good idea to try to calm down a young man of a certain age who was tearing up property and him getting stabbed in the heart? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that these liberal activists, the liberal types, especially the true believers, they allow the devil to come inside their house. Now, I'm not saying that the people that these people are bringing in are the devil or anything. What I'm saying is that woke Mayor Brandon Johnson, eventually he wants this right here to happen. He wants the suburbanites to take it. Maybe he turned down the $250 million because, like you said, he's waiting on a handout from the current administration. But still at the same time, but this right here is actually the ultimate dream, is to destroy the suburbs. Before I tell you guys that I got no sympathy for these people, I got to just ask them straight up. What were you thinking with the sanctuary city policy? Oh, wait, that's right. You weren't thinking, you were feeling. You see, oftentimes people will not think about a situation and they'll suddenly act. And sometimes acting, of course, is the right thing to do. But this is the case where you need to think about things before you act. And, of course, even though it is that woke Mayor Brandon Johnson is saying, you know what, man, I'm going to turn down $250 million and I'm waiting on a handout. I'm pretty sure that if he doesn't get the handout, he's probably going to throw these people inside the suburbs. You know, the suburban homes that people worked hard for, to pay for, to actually keep, maintain, so that way they got out of the city, the crime, the corruption, all that type of stuff there. These people worked hard for those homes, and they may be forced to take some people in. Now, I showed you guys an example of people openly taking people in, but those people were absolutely stupid and insane. You'll see that in the Sean Fitzgerald video, which, by the way, is of a different couple. But still, though, I wanted to show you guys this one because for whatever reason, I can't find that clip. I don't know what the hell is going on there. But still, you guys can kind of see the lunacy of the situation, see the lunacy of these people who just allow people to come on in. It's that liberal ideology of complete total openness. Well, sometimes that openness will lead to you ending up losing your life and losing your fortunes and losing your livelihood. So once again, I ask these people, what the hell were you thinking? Before I end this video, there's one last thing I want to say very, very quickly. Last week when I was up at the VA getting some tests ran on me and stuff and trying to find out, well, it wasn't really a test, it was really just a consultation, but still, got a few more of those things coming up here soon. I got to thinking about something. A channel idea, and I mentioned this in the previous video that I made, was looking at dystopian societies and movies and stuff like that. I even thought about changing the name of this channel to Disassociative Indifference. What's going to happen is this right here. This channel, of course, when I start doing the video essays, it's going to be mostly about crimes and how the media covers the crimes and how the media manipulates. That type of content that I just mentioned about movies and stuff like that right there and prophetic stuff, that right there will be going on the channel Disassociative Indifference, which of course I will create. I'll try to link this account in the description box. If you want to go subscribe, go right ahead and do that. I haven't actually created anything yet, But this probably would kind of be like the third channel. It basically would be like looking at certain things, like say movies, things to come, video games, certain stories, the commentary of that, and of course where we're going as a society, trying to compare it to today. This channel right here eventually will become something like a specialized channel. A daily vlog is what it basically is for the time being, but still make sure you guys tune in and make sure the channel grows, because obviously I'm not going anywhere. YouTube's going to kind of be my thing going forward. So make sure you guys do that. Make sure you guys please tell me what you think in the comment section. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say, and I'll see you guys later.